Perfect. Yes.
The stage is yours.
Hello and welcome. My name is Julie and I'm the chair of the student discussion, where we will discuss different student engagements in different management processes and sustainability aspects of the universities. I will begin here by showing you a picture that we have different students from different places in the world. So hopefully we will get some different perspectives on the discussion. And also I want to tell that other students are of course very welcome to join in on the discussion if they have something they want to add. Right, so it will just work like that I will propose the questions and then we will take the discussions up, and anything that comes to mind is of course welcome in this discussion. Right, so my first question is, how can students' research work and other projects be regenerated to serve the common good? And those online should just raise the hand if someone can keep an eye on the chat. Then we know. Does anyone want to start? Have a suggestion? Yeah, Joey?
I can start. I am very interested in combining the outdoor studies, the outdoor industry with sustainable practices. And a lot of this research, there are already organizations, at least in the United States where I'm from, like Protect Our Winters and Access Fund, that do really good work combining like the Protect Our Winters as snow related and a lot of ski industry. Access Fund is really climbing focused, in which they do a lot of activism protecting different areas so that oil companies can't come in and or mining companies and use those legendary climbing areas and get those land rights. But at the same time, they do a lot of projects trying to mitigate their impact on that area. So there is a lot more increased activism, and student research can be shared with these organizations. And they're very interested in getting more information. And they're doing a lot of work with in Washington, D.C., trying to be better advocates as well. So I think there are a lot of good organizations already that our information can just be shared with.
Good. John, would you like to tell what you are?
Yeah, I think that students' research is very important because we are the youth, and youth engagement is very important because we are the ones who are going to live with whatever's left of the planet and what the politics taken, decisions taken today. So I think that's very important to listen to the students and to their research. What are their main issues? What do they worry about? What are their ideas? So I think that this is very important because we see that the politicians, they don't really take into considerations the youth. I always remember when they were the Walks for Climate, and our politicians were telling us to go back to schools because that's what the most important thing was to them. And I think that this exemplifies the lack of understanding between the politicians taking decisions that will impact all of our lives and us, the youth, trying to deal with that.
Thank you. Isolde, would you like to share your thoughts? Or maybe some of the students online. I don't know if we have a problem with Zoom. I can't really see it over here.
No, I can try what
Okay.
I can.
Good job.
I don't really I've not thought a lot about this, but I agree with the previous speakers that this is really important, that we, the youth, research something and we can use it for the common good. Thank you.
Thank you, Isolde. Yes, amazing.
Hi, I'm from University of Iceland in what is it called, Reykjavik. I think something sometimes we miss is with the quality education part. We often talk about the young, but we need to re-educate we adults. So also, taking your research or whatever topic you want to discuss, perhaps to the adults. It could be in companies, also, what is it called? Even in nursing home, to start a discussion, because we shouldn't be leaving out parts of society. So let's not just focus on politicians. Yes, we need bold politicians, but the youth are the ones who are going to be bold politicians, because all adults, we are sitting around. We have the funds, but we don't really want to change, it seems. So perhaps take also the message to companies, giving, just discussing it.
I think that's a really good point to make, Stacey. Thank you so much for that. I know we have other students joining us online. Maybe they would like to share their thoughts. Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So it took me a minute to realize how to answer this question. And I don't mean to focus like on what I have been doing, but I realized this is fitting with a little project that I've been following for 2 or 3 years now, actually since 2017. And I took my research and my Arctic observations and I forced them on scientists at the University of Fairbanks and asked them deeper questions. And it was a really uncomfortable process, but in the end, it's a long story, but in the end, it's proven to serve the common good. And so even when it's uncomfortable for us to maybe try to not force, but try to share with people that that are outside of our
Build
comfort
those
zone.
bridges, yeah, between
I
practice
think
and academia.
I think it's just a point to be made, and to be to find the courage to sort of communicate across lines that might feel a little awkward. Anyway.
Yes. So, online participants, are there any hands? Not at the moment. All right. Renata, would you like to tell us your thoughts?
Thank you, Julie. One of the things that I bring to this conversation is I'm currently a student, but prior to this, I was working as a lawyer. So I've spent some time in sort of client-focused work, and I'm now getting the opportunity to think more broadly about some of these issues. And I think there's a real benefit to students being able to think about the big picture and think about the common good as opposed to what will benefit whomever they happen to be paid to assist. And because there are so many of us and we're coming from so many different perspectives, I think there is an opportunity for students to bring a diversity of perspectives and perhaps see things that aren't being talked about in the mainstream to the same extent. And to whatever extent we're able to get those perspectives into bigger conversations, we can challenge some of the things that perhaps are going unchallenged and might need a bit more critical interrogation.
Yes, thank you so much, Renata, for sharing that. If there are no further comments or reflections, then I think we will continue to the next question that I have. And my next question is, what are the challenges in building bridges between academia and real life practices? We have already somewhat touched upon this, but I'm very interested to hear what you guys have to say. Any thoughts online? Yes, please. Please.
Yes. Hello, Julie.
Hello, Saverio.
I think the most important challenge is that rarely, I think, academia tries to, let's say, understand the company's needs and wants. And there is still poor discussion between enterprises that represents the hospitality and travel industry and us students that are making generally humanities and social sciences research. So what I did was I made 2 research that were addressed and that were published and addressed to specific companies, or in this case, like specific, also a specific country. And I try to interact with both academia and also companies. And I think that integrating both is necessary, and understanding also companies' needs is fundamental to develop a really competitive work and publication.
Yeah, that is for sure some really interesting work that they're doing. Can you tell us a little bit about what you did for your thesis?
For my thesis, I let's say studied a company, and I tried to understand the future. I tried to make a projection about what can happen. I decided to contact several professors from all around the world, and I managed to interview them to get to know what's going to happen in the future, what are the key trends. This company is a family tourism startup like booking.com, but of course that targets families. So I tried to understand what is the path that they are trying to select. And thanks to academia, so thanks to professors, I tried to understand what are the key topics. And so later on, I merged what are the trends and what the company is willing to do, so that I was able to draw some guidelines to the company. That's my academia and industry, I think.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing that, Saverio. Are there any other students online that have some comments they want to add in the chat or anything?
I'm happy to jump in on this as well.
Yeah, perfect.
Some institutions have opportunities for students to get real world experience. And I had a really positive experience when I was a law student in Western Canada at the University of Victoria. Their Environmental Law Center, which we'll be presenting later today, in fact, gives students the opportunity to put their theoretical skills into real world practice. And so in that context, I had the opportunity to work on some of the plastic reform work that the current team at the ELC will be talking about later today. And that was a really great opportunity to really sort of test my skills out and actually have an opportunity to affect policy as it was being made in real time. And so I think different schools may have more or less formal opportunities for students to start building those bridges and working with people who are actively affecting how the world's trajectory is going, but seeking out those opportunities wherever they exist, insofar as each of us has the time and capacity to do that, I think is a really positive way to try to start bridging that gap.
Thank you for sharing those thoughts, Renata.
Yeah, Natalia.
And Natalia, please.
Thank you, Julie. Yeah, I think there are so many options now to share the results from science from academia in general, that we should use that for not only with a purpose of having like a new idea for this or that, just to spread the studies, because I feel that it's normally staying in the laboratories, in the office, and it's not bringing it to the people. So there are now SciSlam, there are podcasts. So I would say that we should encourage to do these practices that it can look like a loss of time or a waste of time, not academia wise, but I think it's super important.
Yeah, I agree. Just one sec, we're just rearranging the PowerPoint. Thank you, everyone. Okay, just and then thank you. Thank you for sharing those thoughts, Natalia. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're researching and doing when you're not participating in roundtable discussions?
Well, no, I can tell like briefly. My PhD is about bacteria that is the responsible of the loss of crops all over the world. So what we are trying to do is to know more about the bacteria in nature. And for example, related with this topic, one of the best agricultural universities in the world is in Amsterdam, in Holland, and they are in contact with the crops, with the farmers. So then you know what really need to study, So I think that it should be more often to see that this connection in between the person or the citizens that are having this problem, or blah blah blah, and then the academia. No?
That is a really good point. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Have we got any other comments online? Tori, please.
And I really like what KK said last time. And
Yeah.
I think that was really perfect for that lead in of having information and trying to have those uncomfortable discussions with people that maybe aren't ready to hear that. And I can say from my past, I've worked at 2 different Olympic Nordic centers in the United States across the country, one in New York and one in Utah. And the meetings are all about getting more people skiing, and the money is in ski racing. And so we were trying to make bigger events. And one of them I was working at just last year, the entire year was prepping for having like the youth world juniors biathlon championships. And that was the focus. And it's good about getting more access of more people into the sport, while in the background, everybody's talking about diminishing snow and how it's so much harder to even have any of these events happening if there's no snow. But that's not where the money is. And there's so much information, especially since joining this program, that I've found about these predictions out here. And it was hard to see that huge disconnect where you're saying, okay, but you're doing all of these events, and what about in 10 years if it's already hard? And one of the places I was working in when I was in New York, for like a whole month, we only had 1 kilometer of snow. And we had like Harvard out there doing racing all December because they said it was the only snow they found on the East Coast in December. And it was not great snow at the time. It was really icy and terrible conditions. But that feels like alarm bells should be going off, and there's all this research out there. But it's really hard to take that and then come to these organizations and say, instead of planning your next race, which is getting you the money to keep going, how can we talk about making change and maybe downsizing even to make sure that these sports can continue? And so just trying to find, like, start those difficult conversations and share that research, and even starting small and not trying to offend, but these talks need to happen, like KK was saying.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Some very vital, essential points to ongoing challenges for sure. Definitely.
We also have a comment from Stacy in the chat.
Yes, please, Stacy. Don't know if she is muted.
Maybe she just wanted to put
Oh
it in
yeah,
the chat.
maybe in the chat only. It's also fine.
Would you like to read it out, Julie, or would you like me to
Yeah,
do that?
here. It says academia also remembering to put out information in relatable language whereby people are able to easily understand the research / topics, and thus easier to apply / implement in real life. And I think that for sure is the essence of what we are discussing at the moment, like making relevance of what we do in academia to practice, building those bridges that are valuable to both parties for sure. Thank you for sharing that, Stacey. Yes.
I like this discussion, and I like the question, and I'm kind of a student, but actually I'm a teacher. I like this movement that is now, we know the Fridays for Future movement, but what is not so popular is the Scientists for Future movement. I think it has not yet reached Iceland, and it has not yet reached so many countries, but we should totally have that. And it asks scientists to think about their research. How could that contribute to environmental changes and environmental topics? Because of course, if I am a student and my supervisor gives me a topic about, in my case, studying biometrics of EEG signatures, there is no way how I can relate that to sustainability, even if I really want to. But if professors think about their research portfolio, and most researchers have a very specific topic, but you can broaden it up a bit. So if people think about their portfolio and add a little bit in the sustainability area, they at least make room for students to chime in there. And in that area, you can also make room for these bridges to real life. I think this Scientists for Future movement is so nice because it gives room for those people who want to engage. in these topics, and we should do more of that. So I think we, the teachers, also should take on responsibility here, because as a student, often if you go to your teacher and say, oh, I want to do this project, and teacher said, it's not my topic, sorry. So yeah, I think we have a lot of responsibility there.
Yeah.
Throw this back to the students, sorry.
No, it's okay. Thank you for your input, Sivan. I think we should, what you're actually bringing up now is also kind of relating to my next question. So I think we should jump to that one. Let me see here. Should the slides allow me? There we go. Well, it sort of correlates to what Yvonne just mentioned, but also like, how can students' participation in sustainability processes be further encouraged? Like, what are the solutions to create more engagement in this respect?
I think that our participation today is already a great sign.
Thank you for that, John. Yeah.
We're already doing something.
Yes.
I think that a lot of students here, at least in our program, are interested in those issues and are very aware of it. Of course, as we study the polar regions. But I think that, yes, we have other kind of projects going on, like the Unleash in Greenland, and that perhaps Tori can talk about. It's other programs, projects that are going on, and that also involve students in sustainability topics. And I think it would be great to talk about this a little bit.
Yeah, our teacher just reached out to us about the Unleash Greenland project, which is trying to get youth interested, youth being like 20s to 30s, interested in working on sustainable development goals in this conference in Greenland. And that's a really good way to just get all these different minds focusing really on, like, I think it's around 3 different sustainable development goals, a lot of different backgrounds, academics, and it was really just pitched to us in class and saying, here are all these opportunities. And our program is really good about that, of finding all of this information and giving it to us. So we have these opportunities to go participate if we want to and can. And I think that's a really cool way to just bring it right into the classroom so that we know everything going on.
Thank you, Tori. Yeah. Anyone else got any good points to make or reflections they want to share?
I can jump in on this as well if you'd like.
Yeah, thank you.
The fact that several of us are involved with the Environmental Council at the University of Akureyri, I think it was a happenstance chance of encounter with our fearless leader, Yvonne, but making space for students to get involved in something like this without a formal election process, without particular formalities, just welcoming students in who have ideas and a passion, I think is a really positive thing for any institution to get a new infusion of student participation in whatever sustainability initiatives are happening, and being able to expand in new directions through the green flag and such. I don't know how much similar opportunities exist at other institutions that may be larger and have perhaps more entrenched processes for involvement in bodies like this one. But making it easy for students to get involved, I think is really helpful. And also just making sure that the information is out there, that students know that it's an option for them to become involved in such things. So plug for the Environmental Council. If you'd like to be involved in our work, either for the remainder of this year or going into next year, please get in touch with one of the organizers for today's event. We would love to have you.
Thank you so much, Madsen, for those really nice words. If we don't have any further comments to this or ideas people want to share, then I will go on to the next question. And that is, how could universities facilitate better engagements from the students?
I think Renata just made a great point about this question by saying that the information needs to be out there and students need to know about it, because sometimes it's not that they're not interested, it's just that they don't know that there is an environmental council, that there are surveys going on or research projects or anything. So the information has to be out, yes.
Thank you, Jordan.
And question to the students, how do you get that information? Where do you want to read it?
Yes, that is a good point. Where do you reach the students? I think social media should be communication through social media.
Also, like in the corridors or like in the hall, something like that. When we
Mm.
stop in cafeteria, places like this.
Well, that introduction.
In the restroom.
Yeah. Yeah. In the restroom. That was said as a suggestion from KK. Yes. Has a point. Yes, please, Natalia.
One thing I feel that is really useful and amazing from, for example, for Environmental Council is that they are really paying attention of the ideas and the projects from the students. Because I feel that normally we have this idea like, oh, they're students, yeah, you know, they have a lot of ideas, but they are normally not really good or whatever, and they are not really paying attention. But here at the University of Akureyri is like, okay, what do you want to do? Okay, let's see how we can do this. Okay, let's go for this or that. So I think that's really important because actually it's ridiculous. Like when you finish the bachelor, then after 1 year or after some months, then, oh yeah, everyone gonna listen to you. But like some months before, just because you are a student, people will not really pay attention to your ideas. No, so I think that's a really good point that also like professors should have that in mind, and that is not everything like nonsense what they said, what the ideas, whatever. They have to really pay attention and you know, try to help the students to develop their ideas.
Absolutely. And maybe it's also about creating some forums where they can share these ideas in other contexts of like exams and so maybe like innovation labs or things like this would be maybe a better way for the students to present the projects in the way they want. Thank you for that, Natalia. Alrighty, anyone else? We got any online?
I can add something.
Yeah, please.
So talkative. I think we started recently, and I think that is something every university could do because it costs basically no money. We started handing out awards to both teachers and students. You don't get any money, you just get a paper, but it's great publicity for the university, so the universities just benefit from it. And it's great publicity for people who get the award because they can put it on their CV. I mean, today everything is about awards, be serious, so yeah. And the next thing is with these awards, with the Green Teaching Award, triggers interest in teachers to include those sustainability topics in their teaching. So they seed this idea into the minds of the students. Oh yeah, we should do something about this. And the Green Thesis Award as well, because of course, as a teacher, I want my students to win an award. So I maybe make more room for my students to do something about sustainability. So I think universities could totally hand out this award. It's not much work, it's no money. And yeah, I'm happy that we could just make it work with not much administrative hurdles or something.
Absolutely.
So I'll throw this back.
Can I ask a question back to you, Yvonne? Sorry. Just this like thing about things having to be free, maybe an idea or maybe an initiative to prompt more focus on the Environmental Council or get more students could be if we had more investments, maybe student jobs for the different positions within the council. I don't know what your thoughts are on that or where we're heading at.
Totally. So far, like in our university, the council has no budget, so we will have coffee later, no worries. I make the university office pay for it. and cleaner and fruits. But we have not really a budget for anything. I guess this is not, standard. Other universities might have a little budget and maybe have bigger budgets now over the years for their environmental activities. But yeah, student jobs within the council. I mean, we, the teachers, we are paid for the time we sit in the council. Of course, not all the time we invest, but at least the meetings. But the students are not, so all you get is a line on your CV. I think we should totally make room for that. It's not much money and it's a big encouragement. Another thing, like student summer jobs has been launched. I don't know whether it's still available this year, but we had student summer jobs found, like co-financed or financed by the state because of the COVID pandemic. And a lot of people lost their jobs. And so we wanted to offer them like small jobs. So actually last summer we had a student job for I think 2.5 months, a student helping the council. And that was great because we could finish so much work over the summer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope we can continue with that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to say as well, as a student and a part of the environmental council, it's not just about putting a line on your CV. It is also about networking for the students. It's also about learning a lot and broaden your knowledge. So in that manner, it's not always about money and those things, but it's other than just putting a thing on your CV for sure.
It's a meaningful line on your CV.
Yeah, meaningful line at least. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that could perhaps be, I think that could drive more engagement to these council, definitely. And also, I guess, similar to research, that it's very often investments that drive research and not the other way around. So it sort of aligns with that. All right, if we haven't got any more comments.
We had a hand up earlier from Anka. I'm not sure if she's still with us.
Yeah, please, Anka, if you care to share.
Hi.
Hi, Anka.
So yeah, I'm studying at Aalborg University, tourism development, and we focus a lot on sustainable tourism and this aspect. So I don't know, for me, as I saw the engagement and the way the university facilitated, like for me, it was through the internship, because it was then when I got a chance to see like the real life situation and how knowledge can be applied in a way. And of course, I did it in Romania, so it was not the same culture, I would say, and the same understanding of sustainability. So it was really difficult for me to explain to them what I would need to do for my research and what the requirements for my universities are. And at the same time, they were a bit reluctant to give me real work. But also, it was me and my boss was a recent graduate, so we kind of had a similar mindset. And we actually managed to do research together and show them that we can contribute and make some changes. And I can give one example. For example, in the summer, most of the tourists are international, and there were no communication channels in other languages than Romanian, and they didn't have any way to communicate to the target or the target group. So what we did, we went through accommodation facilities and agreed with them to share some flyers and stuff like this. So in a way, I think it was my study program who allowed me to do this. And because I also was given the chance to research the stuff I was interested in, and at the same time, I contributed to the organization.
Yeah, and thank you for those perspectives. Certainly more social perspectives within sustainability. That is already in itself a very complex concept for sure, but thank you for sharing that, Anka, and giving that example. All right, if we haven't got any more comments at the moment, then I will pop to the next question. All right, so which ideas could increase cooperation between universities for sustainable research projects? And I know that Natalia, sorry for putting you on the spot, but I know that you had many thoughts on this, and maybe you'd care to share with us.
Yeah, thank you. My idea is that sometimes maybe a student research in just one university can be too small, so it cannot reach like the power that maybe should have, and the enough enough the scope, let's say. But if you are like joining different universities with the same target, maybe you could reach much better results, let's say. So I don't know, we wanted to put this question here because maybe there are some kind of websites or platforms where you can share this and try to find some collaboration with other universities, or maybe not, and we should try to create something like that because I think it could be really useful.
Renata, please.
This is less about getting the cooperation going in the first place, but in terms of feasibility, I think our global shift to greater work online in the last few years through necessity is in some ways a gift, because it makes it possible to collaborate with people at another institution on almost the same basis as one would within one's own institution. And although there are certainly certain kinds of work that require you to be hands-on, certain types of science in particular, I think a lot of work can be done across borders and across time zones without having to physically travel with all of those carbon emissions to make the collaboration happen in a meaningful way. So I think if we can leverage the tools that we've got, that we're all increasingly familiar with now, in order to make it sort of just as easy and just as feasible to work with somebody on the other side of the world, if you can make the time work, of course. That may make it easier to choose to collaborate with somebody at a different university and make that collaboration happen in a meaningful way without necessarily undermining what you're trying to achieve if your project is aimed at sustainability, but you would otherwise have to fly long distances to make that collaboration happen in a real way.
Thank you for sharing that, Renata. That was a really good point, for sure. There are many things we have learned after COVID that we can do differently in these times. So thank you so much for pointing that out. And as well, I think it's important that we could maybe set up some collaborations with universities from different parts of the world, also to get different perspectives on things, different matters, for sure. All right. Any other ideas or anything? Anything in the chat?
Natalia's back.
Yes.
I think also we are lucky that the environmental issues are normally global or are happening in different areas of the world. So that makes easier this type of collaborations, because it's not something national, some problem that just has in one region or one area. It's something that we all have to work together, because actually that's the problem that we are seeing now, no? That each country is just looking for the economy, for their development, and we are not cooperating and working together for the global problems. So I think, I think it's necessary collaboration, basically.
Yes, for sure. I agree.
We have a wonderful comment from Karen here. Would you like me to read it out?
Yes, please, Renata.
COIL, collaborative online international learning projects, could be a useful way for universities to cooperate and encourage their students to work together. Karen, I know you're with us. Do you want to say anything further about that topic, or Julie, would you like to?
If Karen cares to inform us a bit about what this is, then I would. That would be very nice if you could share that knowledge.
Hi, yes, this is something that some of my colleagues that I work with have set up, where they have students perhaps from 3 or 4 different countries working together in groups. Again, facilitated by all of the technologies that we've now become familiar with due to COVID and online learning. And it means that students are understanding the perspectives of a project that's set for them from different cultural perspectives, which I think is really important with sustainability, because sometimes when you fix one problem in your own locality, you cause a different problem somewhere else. So there is a website where universities can sign up to take part or seek partners in COIL projects. And I think it's something that I can see growing within the academic communities. So yeah, could be something that's definitely useful for sustainable research projects.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Karen, giving us those insights. We have another comment from Yvonne.
Thank you, Karen. I want to add to this, if you are looking for money, the ERC Council has not only all these funding opportunities, but most of these projects require you to have partners from at least, I think, 3 countries or so. And they have also a platform where you can look for partners. So this is one thing I have sometimes looked there, but often there are a lot of management companies there who look for helping others. But when I started finding collaboration partners, of course, in the first place, people recruited me until I realized if you have a great idea, you just when you read the articles for your research topic and then you find that is really cool stuff, you just contact the first author and say, hey, are you in? Should we do this together? You get surprisingly often positive responses. So it's about writing grant applications together and yeah, just not be too shy.
That is a good point. Thank you so much, Yvonne. So now we have many different perspectives on this. I don't know if any of the other students have more points they want to make for it. Any good ideas they want to share? No? All right. Let's see here. Then we're actually about to round up the discussion for today. If we have no further comments, then I would just like to take a round where we hear your biggest takeaways from today.
I think I have a comment in the end.
Thank you.
Because
Go on, Sabadio.
Yeah, thanks. Because the first thing also to increase cooperation and everything is to understand that sustainability is a very clear but also broad topic in a certain way. So the more than an idea, it's a strategy, is for universities to try to understand which niche they want to focus on. So of course, sustainability can be social, can be economic, can be environmental. They must set key guidelines, I would say, key rules and key objectives and strategies in order to then facilitate collaboration and also comprehension of the topics and keywords. Because of course, universities must first understand each other, then agree on topics about sustainability, and then, of course, arrive at results. But sustainability is per se a very broad topic and needs to, of course, find, universities need, of course, to find a clear focus, I would say.
Yeah, for sure, there are needs for clear definitions on what we mean by sustainability in the different contexts. Absolutely. Thank you for pointing that out. Any other comments? Troy, please.
I think it's really incredible, even just with this student roundtable, to see how international it is and how many people are on Zoom right now from all these different places. And we're so united on this topic and coming up with so many different solutions that are really positive and bringing a lot of different perspectives, but it's everybody around this same goal of sustainability. And so it seems a lot less daunting to tackle such an issue if you have such like a unified front on it from all these different people all over the place. So I think this has been very positive just to hear everybody else caring.
Absolutely, I agree.
I completely agree with Tori. It's also something I wanted to say. I think you did a great job, Julie, with organizing this and inviting people from such different backgrounds and nationalities. And yeah, I think it's also great that we pointed out all those opportunities we have as students to engage in research project or sustainability projects as well. Yeah.
Thank you, Jordan. What about the students online? What have you got? Maybe Anata or someone else would like to point something out. I see we have a comment in the chat. 1 second. Oh yeah, that is Karen sharing the link to the COIL, collaborative online international learning projects. Thank you for sharing that, Karen, and for sharing your insights on that. Have we got any other comments for the biggest takeaways for today?
I think one of the things that's really come out in the comments today is that there's a place for both formal and informal ways of getting students engaged, that making it really easy for students to participate in certain things, but also really publicizing formal opportunities to get real world experience, I think go really well hand in hand. And by pushing both of those things, I think people within universities, whether they're professors or administrators who care about this topic, can try to maximize the opportunity for the world to benefit from everything that students can bring to this topic.
Thank you so much, Renata. Yeah, Anyone else? Any points to make?
I will definitely check Scientists for Future and COIL project. That was really useful.
Absolutely. I have noted that down as well. Yeah. I don't know, Anka, if you are still there, have you also participated in the what's it called, the mega projects at our home university? Was it just me? We have at my home university some mega projects, just to say that there are big
Yeah.
yeah. Can you share?
Yeah, I participated in the mega project, but in my bachelor.
Yeah. Can you share a bit on that?
Actually, it was a project about sustainable consumption in the clothing industry. And yeah, about those projects, it was really amazing to have the different, the students from the different programs.
Yeah, I can just shortly introduce, like, it's sort of the same as the Unleash sort to do, like gather students from different places and different institutions and also different educations, and that they come up with ideas that are sustainable, one way or the other, like solving one problem. So that is what we're doing there as well. But you were working with, go on, Anka.
Sorry?
Yeah, you can just, I just wanted to give the others a bit introduction to what it was, but you can go on.
Oh yeah, so I was studying international studies and English, and we were in the same group with students from the economics program and also computer science. And it was really amazing to see how multidisciplinary it can be in a way,
Exactly.
like the same topic.
And that was the point I wanted to make. And I think as well that both for practice management and also academia, there are huge interest in this. And this is where the best results come out when we work together across disciplines. So thank you so much for sharing that, Anka.
Thank you. And thank you for hosting this meeting, Julie.
Yeah, no worries. All right. If we haven't got any more questions, comments, reflections, so on, then I think it's actually what we have for today. So I want to thank you all for participating, and for those watching, thank you for that and sharing your different thoughts and comments.